Father David here. For those of you on the fence when it comes to whether or not to vote for Trump because he's promising to lower taxes or improve the economy or improve medical care, please allow me just a moment or two of your time. We actually have a way to test whether what he says is true because he served 4 years previously. And let's remember what he promised and what he actually delivered. He promised to repeal and replace Obamacare with something bigger, better, and cheaper, and yet he never had such a plan. He promised on a weekly basis for years massive infrastructure spending to help fix our falling apart roads and highways and so forth. And even though he controlled both houses of Congress for 2 full years, such a bill never passed. He promised to wipe out the national debt in just 4 years. In fact, he bragged that it would be easy to do. And yet he blew up the national debt by historic proportions, more than any other president in a 4-year term. He said that when President Obama was president and 2 people died of the Ebola disease, that Obama should resign the office. And yet when COVID struck, over 1 million of our fellow citizens died of this disease, many in large part to the Trump administration's inept response to this terrible epidemic. And then when his medical experts miraculously came up with an effective vaccine in record time, the first thing he did was to undermine their efforts by encouraging people to take malaria pills and worm medicine intended for horses prescribed by veterinarians. And who can forget his suggestion that maybe the injection of some bleach or light inside the body might work a cure. He promised to build a 2,000-mile-long border wall with Mexico and make Mexico pay for it. And yet during his 4 years, he only built 52 new miles of wall. And Mexico didn't pay for a foot of it. He said that he would build the greatest economy in the world. And yet he lost more jobs than any other president since Herbert Hoover. And he was the only president to leave office with fewer jobs, fewer people working than when he arrived. If you're still on the fence about whether or not to vote for this man, just remember the vast difference between what he promised to do and what he in fact did. And if you're still on the fence, just remember how many of his former senior advisors and even his own vice president refuse to endorse him. His own wife won't show up at his rallies. If the people who know him best know that he is unfit to serve, well, that speaks volumes, don't you think?